Hello everyone, this is Mumbo and welcome back to another Minecraft video, and in this one we're going to be taking a look at this, the cauldron. A lot of people seem to think that this block right here is a pointless block in Minecraft, but I personally think they're one of the best, and here's why. Now we're going to start things off with a relatively easy one here. They allow you to store water in the nether. As you can see right here, if we chuck down this cauldron and chuck some water inside, we have got ourselves a water source block, and thanks to Minecraft 1.9 we can now remove that water from the cauldron using a water bucket, which means that yes, we do actually have effective water storage inside the nether. Now everyone knows that the nether can be a fairly dangerous place, and occasionally things can get rather warm, as you can see right here, but the good news is a filled cauldron will actually put you out if you can get inside it. Back onto the overworld now, and as you can see, I'm not much of a builder myself, but these cauldrons actually make relatively interesting roof designs. Now the reason for this is because in Minecraft 1.8 the texture was actually changed to make cauldrons 3D instead of just 2D on all four sides, and I think they look pretty good. Now onto something that I do understand, and that is redstone. Cauldrons can actually transmit redstone signals using the comparator. If the cauldron is filled, it will give a redstone output. Now why is this interesting? Well, first off, cauldrons can actually be moved by pistons, and they can be moved vertically by pistons, which is a very important detail indeed. This is a mechanic that I've used a lot in a lot of my redstone contraptions, because as you can see over here, we've got ourselves a redstone block. If we try and push that up with a piston, it extends, but also it doesn't retract thanks to quasi-connectivity. Now quasi-connectivity is amazing, also slightly complex, not going to be explaining it right here, but it does often run into issues a bit like this one. But yet another awesome redstone feature of cauldrons is the fact that they actually have varying degrees of redstone signal strength. So a filled cauldron will give a redstone signal strength of 3, a 2/3 filled will give 2, a 1/3 filled will give 1, and then of course an empty cauldron will give a signal strength of 0. Really very useful indeed. But anyway, moving on from the boring and not very useful redstone stuff, how about we take a look at the things that actually matter. For example, the ability to spine your neighbours using cauldrons. Don't pretend you don't love this one. You can actually use pistons to push blocks on top of cauldrons that have mobs on the inside of them to make them completely oblivious to any players around. See? This guy doesn't even know that I'm here. No matter how dark it gets, mobs will never spawn on cauldrons, and that's because cauldrons are completely spawn-proof. Now this of course would be a very expensive and probably rather ugly way to spawn-proof your areas, but hey, if you've got the iron for it and you really like cauldrons just like me, you might as well. On a complete side note, they tend to twinkle like Edward Cullen from Twilight whenever you move around, so if you can't have Robert Pattinson, you might as well get yourself a cauldron. Once again, using a certain set of pistons, you can make it look like you're storing heads in buckets, which is pretty morbid and also fairly disgusting, but you know what? Definitely floats my boat. Because the last few have been a tiny bit on the silly side, let's take a look at an actual use for the cauldron, and that is to get rid of dye on armor. As you can see, I've got a lovely purple shirt right here, but I fancy a bit of a change, so if we right click on the cauldron, it will go back to its original colour. A similar feature exists for banners. If you make a mistake on a banner and it's just absolutely disgusting, you really want to get rid of it, you can actually get rid of the most recent layer using a cauldron. All you have to do is right click on it and that will remove your most recent action. When the weather is rainy in Minecraft, cauldrons actually fill up with water, but unfortunately this super flat biome that we've got right here is technically a desert, so I think this thing's going to remain bone dry unfortunately. But one of the main reasons why I love cauldrons is because they're unloved. Nobody seems to like the cauldron, everyone seems to think that they're completely pointless and nobody cares about them. When actually, there's a ton of features to do with cauldrons. They're probably one of the most feature-filled blocks in Minecraft aside from all of the redstone ones, which means that these guys are super useful, and I personally think they deserve a lot more love. So take to Twitter, tell all of your friends, your family, your nan, your dog, your pets, pretty much everyone, that cauldrons are brilliant, and they're here to stay. But unfortunately, that's all I've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.